Somewhere along your journey, maybe after a profound moment of clarity or a personal breakdown, you felt something shift. You glimpsed the illusions, the patterns, the noise, and then a strange silence settled in. At first, it felt powerful, even liberating. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the meaning you once clung to started to fade, not in a dramatic crash, but in a quiet, creeping way, like your soul turned down the volume on life and forgot to turn it back up. You stopped chasing. You stopped caring, not recklessly, but in that heavy, existential sigh kind of way. A question began to whisper, "Why do I feel so numb now that I've seen the truth?" We expect spiritual awakening to set our hearts on fire, to fuel our passion. But for so many of you, especially the deep thinkers, the empaths, the seekers, it does the opposite. It hollows you out. I remember a friend, brilliant and spiritually attuned, who devoured books by Eckhart Tolle, Alan Watts, and Krishnamurti. After a dark night of the soul, she had a massive awakening. She saw through the illusion of identity, ego, and the chase for external success. But 2 months later, she was staring at her ceiling, barely able to get out of bed. "I used to cry over not achieving enough," she told me. "Now I don't care if I do anything at all. I thought awakening would light me up, not leave me like this." This paradox is real, and it's not new. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, understood this fog that follows awakening. He didn't use trendy spiritual terms, but he knew what happens when the unconscious becomes conscious. Awakening, he hinted, is not the end. It's the beginning of a psychological unraveling. And that unraveling can feel like losing your spark. But here's the thing. This isn't the end of your story. It's the start of something deeper, something Jung saw coming long ago. What's happening to you isn't failure, and it's not depression in the usual sense. Jung would say it's something ancient, even sacred. He believed that when you awaken, the structures that once gave your life meaning, goals, careers, relationships, even your sense of time, begin to collapse. This is what he called the death of the ego. Not the ego disappearing entirely, but the ego losing its map. And without a map, your old motivations vanish. You're not lost. You're in limbo, having woken up from one reality, but not yet stepped into another. This sacred pause, this void, is what Jung saw as essential for true individuation, the journey to becoming your authentic self. But our modern world, obsessed with productivity, rarely talks about this phase. Society tells us to keep moving, to hustle, to fill every moment with purpose. So when you find yourself in this stillness, it's easy to feel like you're doing something wrong. You're not. This is where the real work begins. Let me share something personal to ground this. A few years ago, I watched someone close to me go through this. She was a high achiever, always chasing the next goal. After her awakening, she described it like waking up in a play where she no longer knew her lines. The to-do lists, the 5-year plans, the hustle playlists, they didn't move her anymore. She wasn't failing. Her motivation system was recalibrating. Jung would say her ego, the mask she wore to fit into the world, was crumbling, and that's not a bad thing. It's how you make room for something truer. If this resonates with you, if you're navigating this strange fog, know that you're not alone. This is a psychological shift, one that rewrites your entire operating system. And to understand it, we need to dive deeper into what Jung taught about the ego, the self, and why this pause is anything but empty. This in-between space you're in, this quiet, disorienting void, has a name in Jung's work: enantiodromia, the moment when things flip into their opposite. Your inner pendulum swings from ego-driven striving to soul-led stillness. You go from "I must do everything" to "why do anything?" And this swing is sacred. It's the hermit phase, the cocoon where the caterpillar dissolves before becoming a butterfly. Not a butterfly yet, not a caterpillar anymore, just a kind of sacred goo. The ego panics here, craving action, identity, direction. But your deeper self whispers, "Let go. I'm building something new." Jung believed this phase is where the unconscious finally has space to rise. The numbness you feel isn't a flaw. It's your psyche stalling on purpose, forcing you to face what you've buried. This is shadow integration, confronting the uncomfortable, repressed parts of yourself. It's not optional. It's the core of becoming whole. Modern spirituality often skips this, pushing high vibes only or follow your joy. But Jung would warn, if you bypass the darkness, you miss the gold. When you stop resisting the void, something shifts. Motivation begins to return, but it's different. Quieter, older, not anxious or performative. It feels like remembering, not chasing. Jung called this the emergence of the self, not as a concept, but as a living compass inside you. This self doesn't care about status or approval. It's here to express truth, to live through you. And when it starts to stir, you'll feel a pull, not to return to your old life, but to create a new one. This is where the fog begins to lift, where the deeper flame Jung spoke of starts to burn. That new pull you're starting to feel isn't loud or flashy. It's not a lightning bolt or fireworks. It's more like a quiet nudge, a resonance that guides you toward what feels true. Jung called this living the symbolic life, trusting your dreams, synchronicities, and gut feelings as signposts. Life stops being about survival and becomes about meaning. And here's the beautiful part. It's often ordinary. You don't hustle. You respond. You're not driven by fear of missing out, but by what feels aligned. You might still feel waves of fatigue or confusion. That's human. But what fades is that sense of betraying yourself, of dragging through a life that doesn't fit. Instead, you're drawn to create, even when no one's watching. You say no to what doesn't resonate, even if it looks good on paper. You follow curiosity, not checklists. You choose peace over performance. This is your new fuel, not adrenaline, but alignment. So instead of asking, "What should I do?" try asking, "What's quietly calling me?" Instead of, "What's the plan?" ask, "Where is life nudging me?" Ambition transforms into devotion to truth, presence, growth. This energy gets things done, but it's sustainable, soul-powered. If you're feeling this shift, you're not just waking up, you're becoming. This journey isn't easy, and Jung never promised it would be, but it's yours. If this speaks to you, if it names something you've been silently navigating, share your thoughts below. What's this fog felt like for you? And if you want to keep exploring the psychology and soul of awakening, hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't the end of your story, it's where the real story begins.